another episode of Her Club True Stories, and today we are talking to Payal Narang. Payal is a child psychologist by education. She is a Jolly Phonics teacher, trainer by profession. She is also the founder of Learning Kingdom that brings Jolly Phonics and other fun courses. And she is a mom to an almost 2-year-old. So welcome to Her Club True Stories, Payal, and thank you for taking out time to talk to us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
So Payal, before we get to know what actually is Learning Kingdom and Jolly Phonics, let us get to know a little about you and your background.
Sure. So I'm Indian and I was born in Hong Kong. So I spent most of my childhood until the age of 12 in Hong Kong. After that, my family moved to Belgium. So I moved with them, obviously. And I did all of my schooling in Belgium and UK. I chose child psychology because I really, really love children and I really wanted to help them. I wanted to do play therapy. And while I was doing my course, I was actually interning at a school where I learned the Jolly Phonics method. So I studied child psychology, but then profession-wise, I actually preferred teaching children. So I became a Jolly Phonics trainer and teacher, and that's just how my story kind of went in the end.
Okay. So, Payal, before starting to getting to know more about Learning Kingdom, tell us how important is phonics nowadays?
So do you remember the days back when we were in school and we were taught so I was brought up in Hong Kong, like I said, we were given on Monday a list of 10 new words that we had to mug up at home. And on Friday, we would have a test where the teacher would call out the words randomly and we would have to spell it in our books. And that's how we learned how to write and read. Now with phonics, each sound is taught through a story, a song, and an action. So imagine I'm telling the children a story about the letter S, and I teach them a really fun story. They're sitting there thinking, oh, this is so much fun. And by the end of the lesson, they've learned one sound. Now, once they know the sounds, they are very easily able to say, like, if I want them to read cat or I want them to spell cat, they just have to think of the sounds, k, a, t, cat. And they don't need to mug up anything like we did before.
Yeah.
And in 2 years, so between the years of 3 and 7, they only need to mug up 70 words, 70 sight words that don't fit the phonics. And now a lot of the schools, about 80% of the schools that are in Bombay and in the big metro cities at least, employ the Jolly Phonics method from junior KG onwards. So it is very important because even till date, if there's something I can't think of how to spell, I will try to spell it phonetically, even if it's not 100% correct. I'll be closer to the correct answer than I would if I didn't know the sounds.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely it's very, very important. Our kids I don't think we started reading books independently at the age of 4. There was no way we did that.
Yeah.
And now I have students who at the age of 4 are reading short books on their own. So it's very, very important. With our times changing, everything's becoming faster and faster. It's very important for our kids to be able to read and write.
Okay. And so when you started Learning Kingdom, how did you start?
So when I moved to Bombay, it was around 8 years ago.
Okay.
And when I moved so it's 2020, it was around 2012, towards the end of 2012, I moved here. And I saw nobody was employing the Jolly Phonics method. There were a handful of teachers and trainers in Bombay that were employing it. People didn't know about it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to come and introduce phonics to children in Bombay. And very soon actually, after I started advertising and stuff, I started getting students who would come home and learn from me. And only after I got married, which was in 2014, I opened my own center in Vadala, Bombay. I've grown in the last few years. So the demand is super high. And over the years, like I said, a lot of schools have adopted this method. So now parents want their children to go for a class that uses the same for the children. So
Yes.
Learning Kingdom was born out of the need of the hour that
Yeah.
people in India didn't know about the Jolly Phonics method at that time.
Yes. Yes. And it is so helpful for the kids as well.
It really is. It really is. And we were, I think, when I came to Bombay in 2012, I think there were 5 trainers in Bombay. Now we're about 20 of us.
Oh,
And we train teachers on a constant basis so that this method keeps getting more and more popular in India.
yeah. Okay. What was your first thing that you did when you thought of, taking it out professionally?
So I'm very Sindhi. I'm a Sindhi girl, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to start my own venture until it kind of works at home. Let me kind of test the market and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, because I mean, like I said, not many people had heard about phonics or Jolly Phonics, so this is the new way to read. So I started very small. I started in my house where
Okay.
literally on my dining table, kids would come and learn the phonics method and go home. And soon it just started happening through word of mouth that, oh, my kids can suddenly read class. And that's how it kind of spiraled out. And then eventually I needed to get a place.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you started out professionally as an entrepreneur. What is the best part of being an entrepreneur that you admire?
That you can kind of experiment. If you're an entrepreneur, it's your own business. You can kind of experiment and see what works, what doesn't work. You have the freedom to do that, what works. So I've tried a lot of things. I've tried hiring professional storytelling people to do classes, etc. I thought it would grow my business. It didn't really help. Eventually, everyone only knows me for phonics. So that's what I've made my name in, and that's what they expect from Learning Kingdom now. So even when I try to introduce new things, it doesn't seem to work as well as my phonics does. So as an entrepreneur, that really gives me the confidence that okay, I should stick on this path, and this is what
Yeah.
works for me.
So, when you started up, what are the kind of challenges that you had to go through? So, for example, when you said that, when you came to Mumbai, there weren't any, very few Jolly Phonics teachers,
Yeah.
and not many schools had such a methodology. So, in that case, how difficult or how easy was it for you to convince parents that, this is the way forward and so many benefits of phonics?
So honestly, when I put out the advert for being a Jolly Phonics trainer, so all of my relatives live in Bombay, still in Belgium, and I was staying here at my Masi's house. And I just kind of sent it to all of my cousins who sent it forward. And I didn't thankfully and very luckily, through word of mouth, that this is my sister who is doing these classes, trust me, your kid will be reading fluently. I didn't have to convince people. My cousins and all were convincing their friends that put your child and see, and it just grew from there. I technically did not have to convince anyone, and soon after, the school started picking up these methodologies, and these kids were learning before school. So the parents were very happy, and they were passing on the words, Arya's already reading. You should put your child also. Then they'll read before
Yeah.
school also. So it kind of started spreading in that way, and only zero. Whereas the word of mouth that she was really good, Arav loved going to her classes, and he learned so much, send her here, works like a charm. I never have to convince people because it's mostly word of mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Cool.
I think, you know, what happened when I came here, I was of a certain age. I was already 28 or something. So a lot of my friends and families, friends, cousins, all had kids at that age, you know, that were
Okay.
at the proper age to be enrolled with me, you know. So
Um,
that's what worked in my favor. That I came to the market at the correct time where I had friends and all who had kids at the right age to join my classes already.
yeah. So right place, right time, I feel.
Yeah, it's just that it was right place, right time. There was nothing else to it actually.
Oh, is what is that quality that an entrepreneur should have all along the way?
I think you really need, I think you need to be calm and composed. If you get frazzled by even little bit, you know, you're going to have teething problems left, right, center. You're going to be able to, you, if you can't handle stress and all, it's going to be really tough to be an entrepreneur there. So you need to figure them out. And if you are a calm person, it's much easier to deal with all of it. And you really need the support of your family, friends, or like, you know, you need to have a support system. So luckily, early on when I started my center, which was only in 2016, when I started my center, I had one teacher who would come home to help me with classes at that time. And she is still working with me. So, in the work environment, she is my support system.
Okay.
When it comes to family backing, my mom, my husband, my mother-in-law, they've all been super supportive. My brother, like, you know, okay, now how many students do you have? Now how many students do you have? If
Yeah.
I've needed help financially at any point, they've very happily given it to me because they know at some point it will take off and it will grow. So you need a little support from your support system. And
Yes.
if you can have someone at work also, like how I have one of my teachers, it kind of just balances everything out. I've been able to go on holidays knowing that she's there, classes can still go on because she knows the center just as well as I do. So I
Oh,
can kind of leave it up to her for 2 3 weeks and go on holiday, no problem. But because when it's your own business, you don't get holidays, you don't
exactly.
get time off.
So, my question to you was now that you are a mother, how do you balance both of it? And you have answered it very before that, you have a solid support system.
I do, but at the same time, so you know, the day I rented out, I signed the lease of my new place, which is literally 2 minutes from my house.
Okay.
Um, I signed the lease, three classrooms, expanding from one classroom to three classrooms, making big plans and all. 2 weeks later, I was pregnant.
Oh,
So it
okay.
all kind of just happened at the same time.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh, now I've signed, I've made the lease, and now I'm pregnant. So it was just one of those things where I needed to stay calm. And my husband took over when it came to redecorating the place to how I wanted it.
Okay.
I had like images of what I wanted it to look like, and I would show it to my husband. He would show it to the carpenter and be like,
That's
"Pal ko
nice.
aise chahiye, aise chahiye." And my husband pretty much took over all of the job that needed to be done there because at that time all the painting etc was giving me nausea. So
Correct.
he went and he would take care of all of that. Like, okay, I'll go and handle that.
Yes.
Once it was ready, we opened up, and I still couldn't tell people I was pregnant because it was too early in the day to tell people I'm pregnant. So I used to wear these overflowing clothes, and luckily Rita teacher kind of took over. She helped me by taking on a higher role in my school as well. And it wasn't so important if I was feeling nauseous or something. I would message her saying, "I don't think I'm coming down today. You please handle the fort today," and she would handle it. So that really made life good, easy for me. But to be honest, I didn't grow as much in those 2 years. In these 2 years, I haven't grown as much as I should have
Yeah.
because I had my son.
Correct.
It was just putting my priorities straight. So my business is still going strong, but it didn't grow the way I wanted it to because I had an additional responsibility. I obviously needed to give my son as much time too.
Correct.
So I tried to balance it out. And in that process, my business hasn't suffered, but I haven't grown. So
Correct.
that was a choice that I made that quite early on. And I see him being able to do his, like I may be sitting in the same room as him, but he's playing on his own. He becomes very independent in that sense, which I don't think he would have gotten if I spent every moment with him, playing with him and doing it with him.
Yes.
So I advise this to all new moms. Be in the same room as them, put their toys around them, but let them do things independently. Let them become independent. Let them spend some time away from you to become independent, and don't feel guilty about it. You are making them stronger for it, and you need that time too. You really need that time.
Exactly, exactly. And lastly, I would want you to, share some tips to women entrepreneurs out there who are toying with the idea of doing something of their own and becoming something, but are very unsure about that decision because, as we are women and then we become mothers, the unsurety quotient within us, increases multifold. So, what is your advice to women out there who are listening to us?
Firstly, don't be unsure. Make up your mind and stick to it. The second you do that, the path ahead becomes so much easier. It
Okay.
becomes so much easier once your mind is made. Think about what you want to do and kind of make sure there's a market for it also. I don't want you to start something and then fail.
Yeah.
Try to find something that, think it out before you go ahead. Can you keep it up? Is it something that you have the time for, or you can make the time for every day? Because there's no point doing something if you're going to do it half-heartedly. Think with your whole heart, with your whole head, is this something I want to do? Will I take out the time for it? And then you will make the time for it. I adore teaching. I adore it to another level. So it makes me happy from the inside. So it's something that I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up that feeling. So I make the time for it. I am exhausted to another level, but I will make the time for it.
Okay.
So it's something that you have to commit to, that it's something that I love. It gives me this feeling, then everything kind of falls in place. The most difficult thing is giving your time and hard work every single day. That's the only thing that's required to make any business work. So if you want to start something, you have to make sure you have that time to give and you're willing to give it every single day. Then it will work, be it whatever it is. You have to consistently put in the
Consistent.
hard work.
Yes.
So that's something you have to commit on early on, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work, and it will work. It may not be I don't know, like we may not be listed in the Forbes magazines and stuff, but it, as long as it's working consistently, you will get to a point where you are content with your business. So
Okay.
I think that's the way ahead. You have to think that if this is something that brings me happiness, I will consistently do this every day. You will get there. You put in the hard work, you will get there, and make up your mind. I know in the beginning you're confused and all. Make up your mind, set it to it, and you will reach your goal.
Yes. So thank you so much, Payal, for taking our time today to talk to us about your venture and sharing
Thank
some
you so
tips
much,
on
Shilpa.
how women should move forward. For parents who are watching us today and would want to enroll your kids for Jolly Phonics in Mumbai or otherwise, since everything is online today. So,
Yes, currently I have students from Europe as well, so please
oh,
join.
get in touch with Payal Narang. She has an Instagram page called as Learning Kingdom, and yeah, there is Best Assured for your kid also. And women entrepreneurs who want to get inspired and inspire us as well, please get in touch with me and do like and share our videos at Her Club True Stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shilpa. Thank you, everyone.